Greetings. Let's jump right into some of the latest things that are happening. Today is July 1st, 2023. We've got some clips here related to President Trump and then a few clips from RFK Jr. So, one thing that we have is this is from Truth Social. When Trump was speaking, you can see the South Carolina crowd. That's about a 46-second clip there. So I'll just quickly play that one.
Wow, thank you very much. That's a big crowd of people. Well, hello, Pickens, and hello to South Carolina. It's great to be with you. We've had great success together. I don't know if you know it, but those crowds are going all the way back into whatever the hell street you have back there. Whatever that street is, they've passed it.
Well, again, can always, if you just want to keeping up with Trump, just go to Truth Social, Donald J. Trump, and you will find him there. Let's look at this one. If this may be an article. Let's see if I can find a video. If not, yeah, so he's just reading something there. Let me go back, share this. So that was the newest headline. Trump reads the snake poem at his Independence Day rally. This is about our border. Okay, another RSBN. So RSBN is starting to do a lot more news, but I'm going to play this video too from Donald J. Trump. This is from the South Carolina Pickens event.
America is tired of being ruled by the radical bureaucrats, and we are done with the likes of the Bidens, the Clintons, the radical left Democrat, communists, Marxists, fascists, the Obamas, Paul Ryan, and Karl Rove, almost as bad. They're bad news. I promise you this, if you put me back in the White House, their reign will be over in the America that we knew, and we knew for a long time, will indeed be a free nation once again. It will be a free nation.
Wouldn't that be nice? Yeah, that would be great. So you have that one. This is from 43 minutes ago.
You would hear 6% is out for a
let's see. Trump touts massive lead in 2024 race, says the swamp is getting truly desperate. This one, let's go ahead and look at that. This is from about 43 minutes ago. This was written today. Did Trump speak today? I missed it. Let's see. President Trump highlighted the duplicity and persecution from the Justice Department and the Washington swamp during remarks delivered in Pickens, South Carolina on Saturday. Okay, yeah, I did see this one. Oh no, today's Saturday. I have not seen that one yet. Never forget, our enemies want to stop me because I am the only one who can stop them, he told a whopping crowd of tens of thousands gathered at the historic main street of the small town. Trump touted his sterling poll numbers, where he is consistently polling 30 to 60 points ahead of GOP primary surveys, noting that the swamp was getting truly desperate. Let's see. We're going to evict crooked Joe Biden from the White House. Let's see. Play this. So a lot of the same things we hear from um, most of his speeches here. The president said that as his success continues in the polls, they get more and more vicious. As if, I mean, I thought that wouldn't even be possible, but hard to argue with that when we're seeing everything that is going on. Let's see. Okay, so none of that was even coming through apparently. All right, but you heard the clip there. The president said as his success continues in the polls, they get more and more vicious. He called his political enemies vicious, horrible thugs. President Trump also vowed that in 2024, the election process would be freer and more transparent than the dubious events of 2020. They rigged the presidential election in 2020, and we're not going to allow them to rig the presidential election of 2024. The statement grew huge cheers and applause from the crowd. If you put me back in the White House, we will be a free nation again. So there you go. And we will see if and how that holds true. But it's all up to the people, all up to the voters. I still believe in the process. And the only way to know that the process is rigged, one of the only ways to know that is by voting to get involved a little bit, or just to vote and then see, okay, well, I voted for, we know there were this many votes, and we have people who complain all of the time that their votes didn't count, or that somebody voted in their name, or we have dead people voting, things like that. The only way to catch all that stuff, one of the only ways, is to vote. And it doesn't take much. It really doesn't take too much. And it does help. It does hurt the voter fraud, the people who want to have voter fraud. It does hurt them. It makes it more difficult, right? If none of the good people voted, the bad people would never need to have voter fraud. Voter fraud is their friend. So here's another one. Lots of good short clips here on Truth Social. That's probably why I missed them all. He must have smoked earlier today. I don't even know. Yeah, earlier this morning. He's doing a lot more daytime morning speeches, which is great. Let's listen to this one.
And we have a man who's grossly incompetent, who's representing us. And if you look at the leaders of the world, these people are at the top of their game. President Xi and Kim Jong-un, and I could name almost every country. But we have somebody that's not at all. But while stating twice this week, as an example, that Russia is losing the war to Iraq. Twice. Not, you can make mistakes on occasion. Even Lindsey down here, Senator Lindsey Graham. We love Senator Graham. We're gonna love him. We're gonna love him.
Way too funny. So, yeah, there was a clip, and I don't know if I have that clip or if I can pull that one up, but where Biden was talking about the war. I'm sure that clip is out there. That's got to be a good one. I'm sure it's just so hard for me to even listen to anything Biden is saying. So, how about this one? We're going to evict him. I think.
With the help of everyone here today, we're going to win the South Carolina primary 7 months from now.
7 months away. Just 7 months.
And on Election Day 2024, we are going to evict crooked Joe Biden from the White House. We're going to bring our country back.
It's going to be great. So hyping up the crowd. I mean, look at these crowds. These massive, energized crowds pour into small town USA for Trump's Independence Day celebration. So awesome. So he just landed. Yeah, so I have not even seen this speech yet. He just landed there at around 1 p.m. Eastern. Very cool. So then he talks about turning into some of the pre-coverage. So that's a lot of what I wanted to play. I did not even realize. I mean, this is how difficult it is to really keep up with what these guys are doing. What President Trump and what RFK Jr. are both doing is phenomenal. It is amazing, truly amazing. So there is the, let's just play a little bit of this, maybe if I can. I don't know. They have the whole thing.
Innocent people. And Joe Biden is stumbling us into the brink of World War III. Idea what the hell he's doing. While starting, and when you think of what's going on with Russia, Russia now is at a point where they better make the right decision, because we're on a course toward World War III, and the weaponry is impossible. If you ever saw the kind of power the kind of destructive force, and we have a man who's grossly incompetent, who's representing us. And if you look at the leaders of the world, these people are at the top of their game, President Xi and Kim Jong-un, and I could name almost every country. But we have somebody that's not at all. But while stating twice this week, as an example, that Russia is losing the war to Iraq. Twice. Not, you can make mistakes on occasion. Even Lindsey down here, Senator Lindsey Graham. We love Senator Graham. We're gonna love him. We're gonna love him. I know, it's half and half. But when I need some of those liberal votes, he's always there to help me get them, okay? We got some pretty liberal people, but he's good. He's good. We know the good ones. We know the bad ones, too. We got some real bad ones. But even he makes mistakes on occasion. But you can't make a mistake by calling Ukraine Iraq. And then you certainly can't do it a second time because there's something wrong. With the help of everyone here today, we're going to win the South Carolina primary 7 months from now. Big.
I'm just going to play.
And on election day 2024, we are going to evict crooked Joe Biden from the.
Yeah, I just want to play a little bit of that. I think everybody gets the idea of some of the points that he's making. Again, a lot of the same stuff that we've been hearing. Not saying there's anything bad about that, but I'm glad that the message, they keep pushing the same message, just like RFK does too. It keeps pushing the same messages, talking about the same points, and there's a reason for it, a big reason for it. So let's see. I think that's a lot of Trump, and I've been, sometimes I like to go back and forth with Trump and with RFK. It just really depends on what is happening. But what I'm going to do here, I'm going to jump over to Twitter and let's go see what Robert F. Kennedy is doing today. What's he up to? What is the man up to here today in the world of Twitter? I'm still shocked that I'm even here on Twitter. That's okay. This was pinned 3 hours ago. This is a 46-second clip. This is going to be good. I'm going to go ahead and play this here.
When I was a kid, everybody trusted the government. Why? Because the government was telling us the truth. And now everybody expects the government to lie. 20% of Americans believe their government, 20% believe the press because the press lies too. I am the one president who's going to get up there and I promise you the government is going to tell the truth to you. And I'm going to do that through national security orders. I'm going to do it through executive orders. I'm going to do it through example. And I'm going to, I'm going to make these agencies start telling the truth about everything. You may not agree with me on some of my policies, but, our country is going to start healing when the government starts telling it the truth. If you like this video and you want to help me become president of the United States, go to Kennedy24.com and donate now.
There it is.
When I was a
Beautiful.
kid, everybody tried.
Beautiful message. Another beautiful message by the candidate. Always like to show some support. That was a good one. What did he write? This is probably going to be good. Oh, coming back to Los Angeles. I remember I believe he's living in the LA area. So right now, that is his home state. Let's listen to this message.
Hey, everybody. I just got back to Los Angeles from my Midwest trip, and I wanted to make this quick video to thank all of you who responded to my last video requesting that you send money, because so many of you actually did it, and we raised an extraordinary $1 million in the last 24 hours.
Wow.
So thank you. Thank you. For those of you who didn't give and are still inclined to, or anybody who wants to give more, we're not going to send it back. You can give up till midnight tonight, June 30th. Toward our deadline. We're hoping to have $5 million to report. I'm pretty confident we're going to get there, but if you can help, please do. And thank you very much.
Very cool. That's great. So and that's where you have to learn about the campaign finance laws and all that stuff, which I've heard them briefly. I've heard Kennedy talk about it. So that's pretty much that. All it seems like those are the only things that are new that he's been talking about on Twitter. But I also did have a couple of these short clips that I was hoping to play. Yeah, there's like 3 or 4 of them that I'll probably end up playing here. And we get this going. Start that. Go. Just some clips. That's probably all we're going to end up doing here today. Just showing some of these powerful clips. There's about 4 clips here, so I may stop. Let me stop at some point. All right. Okay, cool. Let's watch this one. What works?
What we should have done is we should have, instead of using the internet to suppress debate, to censor people, to punish doctors who are speaking out and saying, we should be using early treatments. I'm giving it to my patients and they're recovering miraculously. Those people, these doctors of conscience, were silenced. We should do the opposite. We should have built a grid, and this is what I'll do, that reaches all 15 million frontline physicians in the world, and where they report what they're doing and what's working and what's not working, and all that information then gets synthesized through AI. So we can quickly spit out to all the other practicing physicians, this is what they're doing in Bangladesh and they've eliminated it, or this is what they're doing in China or Guatemala or Central America. But we didn't do any of that. Instead, we used the pandemic as a pretext for clamping down these, controls on our freedoms and to promote medication that didn't work. I mean, one of the things that people should know, the government, the people who were promoting the vaccine had to get rid of all the competitive products. And why is that? Because there's a federal law, the Code of Federal Regulations, that says that you cannot give an emergency use authorization to any vaccine if there is an existing medicine that has shown to be effective against the target disease. So that's why they had to tell us that ivermectin was a horse medication that didn't work. It's not a horse medication. It is given to horses because it works for all mammals. But it won it's one of the only products in the world that has won the Nobel Prize because it was effective for humans. It's been given in billions and billions of doses, and it's eliminated river blindness and other parasites around the world. We should have focused on things that work rather than focusing on advancing the mercantile interests of the pharmaceutical industry.
Very
so
interesting.
I would do.
So that's that was one of the clips. I'm going to take off the closed caption. But the ivermectin, that's the one that Joe Rogan was taking, and they, a lot of funny memes about him taking a horse drug and everything. But as Kennedy says, it's what worked. Whatever worked, that's what we should be focused on, and not just cornering the market and then just one big company just does it all and runs it all and controls everything here. So and those, it's crazy that stuff like that is the things that are going to get banned on YouTube. Those are those talking about those topics. It's so crazy. Anyways, I find it crazy. Maybe not. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's Maybelline. This is where he gets asked about the pandemic preparedness protocols, or asked about how is Kennedy going to make sure that another pandemic does not happen, or how is he going to respond to another pandemic. This is a great clip. This is about 3 minutes.
I would do the pandemic preparedness protocols from WHO, CDC, the European Medical Association, the NHS, National Health Service in England, have said for decades, which is you quarantine, you don't do mass lockdowns ever. You quarantine the sick, you isolate the vulnerable, and then you look for particularly for off-the-shelf therapeutic drugs that treat the illness. You don't lock everybody in and say you're waiting for a vaccine that is untested and that, nobody knows whether it's going to work or not. You actually treat people who are sick. This is the first respiratory illness in the history of medicine where you could go into the hospital with a positive PCR test and symptomatic. And the hospital will say, there is nothing we're going to do for you. You go home till your lips turn blue until you can't breathe, and then come back here and we're going to give you two things that'll kill you: intubation and remdesivir. Meanwhile, we're depriving people of drugs that are proven, of Zithromax, of ivermectin, of hydroxychloroquine that were proven. The countries that use those drugs had a fraction of the deaths we did. Why is it, if what we were doing worked, why did we have the highest body count of any country in the world? We have 4.2% of the global population. How in the world did we get 16% of the COVID deaths? It doesn't make any sense. Meanwhile, nations that avoided vaccines and gave their populations ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and other early treatments, many of them didn't even have a pandemic. Nigeria has the highest malaria burden in the world. So almost all the population is on hydroxychloroquine. They take it once a week. It's called Sunday. Everybody takes it on Sunday. And it also has the highest river blindness burden in the world. So a large part of the population is on ivermectin. The death rate in Nigeria was 14 people per million population. The death rate in our country was 3,000 per million population, 200 times what they had in Nigeria. Nigeria had a 1.3% vaccination rate. So it wasn't vaccines that had anything to do with ending the pandemic. If you look across the board, the countries that were most heavily vaccinated had the highest death rates from COVID consistently. Those that had lower vaccines and depended instead on therapeutic drugs did much better. In fact, there's states in India, there's a state called Kerala that adopted our protocols and had death rates similar to ours. The nearby state of Uttar Pradesh, which has 230 million people, so its population is comparable to the United States. As soon as they started giving people ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, the pandemic ended there. From where I sat on the border, there's a tree.
So I'm just going to stop that one just for a second, because the next two are a little bit out of order, but I think it's very important to play them both probably in the correct order. So these are both dealing with Trump's wall. And we're back to Trump's wall. And it works. It worked. It's proven. And here even RFK Jr. is going to say it works. There are things that we can do that work that will stop the crisis at the border. For whatever reason, the current administration does not want to do that. So let's see. Hopefully everybody can see this. All right, I'm going to play this as just a 1-minute clip, and then there's a part 2 that is really disgusting and sad.
So, no country can survive if it can't control its borders, and we're not doing that. The good news is this, that everybody that I talked to there said that this is easy to stop. That the way to stop it is very, very simple, and that they've been doing it before. Now, I didn't like to hear this because I'm not a big fan of Donald Trump. I did not like his wall. But what the Border Patrol and everybody else said is, you don't need to build a physical barrier from San Diego, 2,200 miles to Brownsville, Texas. You do need a physical barrier in certain places where there's high density populations. The rest of it you can monitor with ground monitoring, very, very sophisticated surveillance and ground monitoring systems. Many of those were put up during the Trump administration, but for some reason, the Biden administration, when it came in, took down the towers and they removed the ground sensing systems. This is not something that, as a Democrat, that I want to hear. And then, once it got out that this is an open border and the cartels saw that there's a huge profit opportunity here, the flow has just increased exponentially.
So that's one of the clips. And then I'm gonna go and play the one before that with a really sad
From where
name.
I sat on the
Yes, really sad name here. Um, from my other channel, Greg Fernandez Jr. You'll see the Trump and the RFK Jr. That's how you know that channel is strictly focused on what is happening in our nation right now. And I'm going to be posting just as much of these little clips as I possibly can as I continue to write this book, Kennedy and Trump. Let's listen to this one.
From where I sat on the border, there's a tree that you can see on the other side of the fence, but it's in U.S. territory. It's called the rape tree. And it's where the cartels extract their final payment from women who come across, sometimes from children. The Border Patrol watches helplessly while they do this. I talked to people, there's a Peruvian family that I talked to that had lost their life savings because the cartels rob them, they beat them, they extort them, they exploit them, and ultimately they rape them. And this is a humanitarian crisis that that we're creating through government negligence, and we need to end it for everybody's sake.
So that okay, and there is one more. Actually, no, I think those are the two that I wanted to really play here today. There is I want to quickly talk about because Kennedy has been really talking about censorship, and we know President Trump has talked about that for a long time. But I keep coming back to this to make sure that this interview is still up. This one, I tried to replay this, and this got taken down from my other channel. And I wasn't given a strike because it's just, I don't have any strikes on that channel or anything. So it was just a warning. But this is the one that one day they'll probably will take down. This is one of the best interviews. The one that we just watched, so that was a clip from WMUR9. So if you're looking for it, WMUR9, and then put in RFK, it should pop right up. That one, that was in that was in New Hampshire. So the last clips that I played were from that talk that Kennedy did, the 3-part one. This one here is an hour and 21 minutes. So much great stuff here. This took place 2 days ago. The interview happened on June 29th, 2023. And the replay that I did got taken down for medical misinformation. So I'm glad to see that the original is still up there. But we all know it's not going to be too long before this video right here gets taken down. So please, please, please watch it, back it up. I'm sure it'll be on Rumble. I'm sure it'll be other places. So far, it has not been taken down. I don't know why a replay would get taken down, but the original wouldn't. But I'm glad that the original hasn't. So that's the main thing. And people are going to watch it there. So this video right now has 373,000 views. Let's see how many it takes for it to get taken down. I haven't looked at the comments or anything, any of those, but that was just a very, very good, very good one. And so many different things. I'm actually just going back and taking notes on that because I will include a lot of this in the book. But this, when it comes back to the censorship, we're going to see that a lot more. But the medical misinformation part, I pretty much can tell you, pretty much know exactly. I can almost timestamp it. If I had my notebook here, I probably have the timestamp of what is going to get everything shut down. Is when Kennedy starts talking about the how these vaccines are not tested. They're not, and he's specifically referring to a certain type of test to make sure that these vaccines are safe. He talks about how he was actually vaccinated. And back then you had 3 or 4. Now there's 75. He talks about, why are we giving, I think it's hepatitis C. Why are we giving hep C shots to 1-year-old, 1-day-old kids? It doesn't make sense. Things like that he's talking about. And he talks about how back in 2016, he was actually on President Trump's vaccine advisory team. So was Anthony Fauci. And RFK Jr. challenged Anthony Fauci to show him one study that has been done on the placebo to prove that a placebo test to show that the vaccines are safe for kids, that they're safe. And Anthony Fauci kind of wavered. It's like, well, I don't have those right in front of me. I'll get back to you. And they never did. So RFK Jr. and another lawyer, remember, RFK Jr. is a lawyer here. And so he sued Fauci, and he sued whatever company Fauci was part of at that time. And they had to admit that they did not have any proof that those vaccine tests ever happened. He can articulate it much better. I'm sure you've heard the story. I'm sure you've seen it. But I believe that is probably what got my replay video taken down for quote unquote medical misinformation, which is really garbage, because it's those are the facts there. Whether you like them or whether you don't, those are the facts. What Anthony Fauci and what people who are saying the vaccines are safe and safe and safe, and Kennedy's just saying, well, show us these tests then. And they can't do it because the tests do not exist. That is a big, big deal. And they should, and they can happen. And, there's, if the tests happen and they show that these vaccines are not safe, then what? All of this money that has been invested, all of the government approvals, all of these people who think that this is all safe and everything, they have a vested interest to make sure that the real vaccine tests do not happen. But if Kennedy gets in there, that is what he is saying, that he will make sure that those tests do happen. Lots of great stuff in that hour and 20 minutes. So if you have not watched it, you can still find it for now. I'm pretty sure it's on Rumble. We're going to back it up on different Rumble channels. I'm definitely sure about that. But it's on the News Nation YouTube channel. RFK, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s town hall on News Nation. This is in Chicago. So make sure that you go and watch that before it gets taken down. It's really good. You're going to find clips. You're going to start seeing a lot of clips that are out there. But if you want to see the full thing in the proper context, you can always check this out here. RFK makes it very clear that he is not anti-vaccine. That's another misconception that some people have, thinking that he's an anti-vaxxer. He makes it very clear that he's not. But tests need to be done to make sure that these things are safe. And guess what this all goes back to? As many of you already know, this all goes back to protecting our children. So that's where I'm going to leave this one here. God bless you all. We're going to celebrate Independence Day. Hope some of you have a 4-day weekend. I don't, but to those that do, stay safe, and God bless the greatest country ever. And God bless the whole world, and God bless you. And, try to work on your relationship with Jesus Christ, because that's what's really going to save us. A presidential candidate isn't. There is already one out there who will save us. His name is Jesus Christ. And you know him, inside. And if you've turned away from him, it's time to turn back. If you do not know him, or you feel like you've never known him, you will. God bless you all.